Giants. How many of us still believe there's giants that roam this earth every day? I would go to say probably not the physical giants, but there is a spiritual giant that we have to face each and every day. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, we get told a very familiar story, and we probably heard it a million times. Brother Steve actually said, "Hey, have you watched The House of David?" And I'm like, "No." So of course I had to go binge watch 8 episodes of The House of David, which is very good. I'm not going to say it's 100% biblically accurate, but it's really good. But there is a huge lesson to learn from David. And I think we all need to take that lesson away today. Giants. So in chapter 17, verse 4, we're going to start out. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines named Goliath, Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He was 9 foot 9 inches tall. Let that sink in. 9 foot 9 inches tall. I've seen some pretty tall people in my life, 6-footers, those kind of things, but a 9-foot person, that'd be kind of intimidating, wouldn't it? 9 foot 9 inches tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had a bronze armor on his leg and a bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels. And a shield bearer went before him. Then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, Why have you come out to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And you, the servants of Saul, choose a man for yourself and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. And Saul and all Israel heard these words, and the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. You turn down to verse 16, it said, And the Philistine drew near and presented himself 40 days, morning and evening. So we have Goliath coming out twice a day. You know, let's just say the average height of the people of the time was 5'5". Just throw a number out here. Don't hold me to it. I'm just throwing a number out. And you got a man that's 9 foot 9 inches tall. He's laid it out there. You beat me, we serve you. I beat you, you serve me. That would be kind of intimidating, right? We would see that maybe we would want to turn around and run. I believe a lot of the Hebrews at the time wanted to turn around and run. They refused to go out and fight. They would stand up, listen to this guy speak twice a day, these same things, over and over and over. For 40 days they had to do this. 40 days they had to endure this giant coming out and talking to them. We have to ask ourselves sometimes, what are our giants? Who are our giants? It's not about David in this sense. It's not about Goliath. God's painting a picture here. God painted a picture of a very young, frail David in his youth. Very, I'd almost picture very skinny, not just the most popular. He's probably not on the football team if there was a football team or the soccer team or any of those other teams. He's probably the scrawny little, smallest thing he could possibly find. And that's what God wanted to use to face a giant. When we get up each and every day and we go to school, we face giants. Not the physical giants, but there's giants of God may lay something on your heart to go speak to them. God may lay somebody on you to say, hey, this person needs me. I need you to go talk to them. He doesn't want the very big, tall person that's macho. We see that throughout the entire history of the Bible. God always shows the smallest, weakest, most, I hate to use the word pathetic, but pathetic person, so he could shine through and show what God could do. It never was about David. David was the vessel God used, but it never was about David. It never was about Goliath. It was about watching God's power come through in that little bitty stone that he used to kill Goliath. We all have that same capability inside of us. We have that same capability that we can reach out to those giants and we can kill those giants. But do we use those capabilities? Here's the entire army of Israel standing before the entire army of the Philistines. They were outnumbered roughly 3 or 4 to 1. Not real good odds if you're looking at a war side of it. Here they are, standing before all these people, and scared. There's probably some of the biggest people that the Israelites had. They had the tribe of Judah there, which was the big one. They had all these people, but nobody wanted to go up and face this giant. Again, not about David, not about Goliath. It was about what God did through an individual to show a way that we can stand up and face our fears. We can stand up and face those giants. Let's reword this just a little bit. What is your giant? And when I say giant, what is your sin that you're trying to overcome? What is your sin that you're fighting against that's holding you back? David's like, you know what? Y'all have all forsaken God, but God will do it. These people had gotten to the point, if you'll go to the next slide, Lance, that sin had gotten bigger than God. Man had gotten bigger than God. And here they are in a situation. But what David believed, go to the next one, was his God was bigger than anything, any giant. It don't matter if it was 12 foot tall, 700 foot wide, made of whatever. David didn't care. It was placed on David's heart to go do something, and David did. When we face a daily struggles, daily giants, whichever, we have to remember that God loves us, and God will allow us to take down that giant. There's nobody out there so lost. There's nobody in this room, there's nobody in this world more popular than the next person. It's about you being used by God the way God will direct you to do. So you need to ask yourself tonight, which is more important, or which is bigger in your life? Is sin bigger than God, or is God bigger than sin? Giants, whatever words you want to plug in there. Because there's going to come a point in time we're going to be faced with those giants. We're going to be faced with that obstacle we can't overcome. We're going to be faced with that thing that none of us can explain. I was faced with, most of the youth know this, most of the adults know this, I was in the shooting at Pearl High School when it happened. That was a giant. That was a fear that I had to overcome. When you see your classmates struggling or going through something, it's not about you anymore. It's about honoring God through that situation, regardless of the situation. Our God is always bigger than any sin that can come at us, regardless. So I want you to ask yourself today, have you allowed sin to get bigger than God? Have you allowed giants to come in your life knowing God is on your side and God can take that giant down any day of the week? And if any of those questions aren't right, I think you need to come forward and you need to pray to God and allow God to show you what is getting in the way, what is keeping you from moving forward, what is keeping you from defeating that giant for once and for all. I'm gonna ask our worship leaders to come. And just think about it. You have two options. You can, as the song implies, you can decide to follow Jesus, or you can choose to follow yourself. You got to determine in the end which is more important. Is God bigger than sin, or sin bigger than God? We stand and sing our hymn.